Princess Diana's daily diet looked nothing like what you'd expect from a princess. You might imagine her eating elaborate banquets and gourmet French cuisine. But according to her personal chef, her daily meals were surprisingly simple and very different from what the rest of the royal family ate. Diana had her own approach to food, healthy, unfussy, and shaped by a journey that took her from real struggle to genuine balance. Here's what she actually ate, from breakfast to her favorite dessert, and what it reveals about who she really was behind the title. Diana's mornings began before breakfast with warm water and lemon. She believed it helped prepare her digestive system for the day, a habit that's now common wellness advice, but was unusual in the early 1990s. After that came her actual breakfast, overnight oats. McGrady prepared this dish for her almost every day. Diana had discovered the recipe, originally called Bircher muesli, during a visit to a Swiss health clinic, and she brought the concept back with her to London. Rolled oats soaked overnight in orange juice, then mixed with Greek yogurt, raw honey, a splash of lemon juice, grated apple, blueberries, and walnuts. The orange juice gave it a slight tang, and the honey balanced out the tartness. It was healthy, nutritious, and about 20 years ahead of the overnight oats trend that would later take over social media. McGrady liked the recipe so much he started doubling it and eating the extra portion himself. On gym days, though, Diana sometimes wanted something more substantial. Her request was oddly specific: a can of Heinz baked beans, a pink grapefruit, and a glass of orange juice. It sounds strange, but baked beans are a common British breakfast food, and Diana was practical about fueling her workouts. She went to the gym 3 days a week, and she needed the protein. Diana was also juicing long before it became mainstream. She walked into the kitchen one day and told McGrady she needed a juicer, so he was dispatched to Selfridges to buy one. After that, he made her fresh juices with carrots, celery, parsley, and spinach. She became interested in the health benefits of beetroot and wanted to try straight beet juice. McGrady warned her it might be too strong on its own, but she insisted. An hour later, she came back with her face blotchy and accused him of poisoning her. It was just the beets. After that, they mixed it with apple juice instead, which cut the earthiness and made it drinkable. She told McGrady directly what she wanted from him. "I want you to take care of all the fats, and I'll take care of the carbs at the gym." It was a partnership, and it reflected a woman who had finally found some balance. When it came to her main meals, Diana's preferences were remarkably consistent. Her absolute favorite was vegetarian stuffed bell peppers. McGrady prepared this dish for her 2 or 3 times a week. Red bell peppers filled with zucchini, mushrooms, rice, mozzarella, and Parmesan cheese. He'd roast the peppers until they were soft and slightly charred, then serve them on a pool of smoked tomato pepper sauce made with ripe tomatoes from the palace gardens. The melted cheese on top would bubble and turn golden brown. It was warm, satisfying, and packed with vegetables. Exactly what Diana wanted. Stuffed eggplant was another regular request, prepared in much the same way. The eggplant was hollowed out, filled with the same vegetable and cheese mixture, and baked until tender. Diana preferred vegetarian meals, and when she did eat meat, it was almost always fish or chicken, never beef and never pork. Another dish she loved was something McGrady called egg Suzette. It started with a baked potato, scooped out and hollowed. He'd lay a wilted spinach in the bottom, place a perfectly poached egg on top with the yolk still runny, then add just a tiny drizzle of hollandaise sauce, because Diana was always watching the fat content. He'd pipe mashed potato around the edges to finish. It looked elegant, almost like something from a fine restaurant, but it was simple and filling. Her chicken came prepared differently than what she served her sons. While William and Harry got skin-on roasted chicken, crispy and golden, with potatoes dripping in fat, the kind you bite into and the juices run down your chin. Diana's version was poached chicken breast, sliced thin and served skinless. Her potatoes were dry roasted, tossed with egg whites and paprika instead of oil, so they'd crisp up without any added fat. Rainbow trout was another favorite. Simple, pan-cooked, nothing heavy. And occasionally, when she wasn't in the mood for what was on the planned menu, she'd ask for something unexpected, like liver and onions, a classic British comfort food that seemed at odds with her usual health-conscious choices. But that was Diana. She had her structure, but she wasn't rigid about it. Unlike the Queen, who always stuck to the pre-approved menu book, Diana frequently changed her mind about what she wanted to eat. This casual approach to royal tradition extended to everything about how she ran her household. The contrast between Kensington Palace and Buckingham Palace was stark. At Buckingham Palace, the food was traditional French cuisine, rich, heavy, full of cream and butter. When the Queen entered the kitchen, all staff were required to stop what they were doing, move pans to the side of the stove, step 3 paces back and bow. Diana's world was different. She would burst into the kitchen at Kensington Palace and say, "Darren, I need a coffee. Oh, you're busy, I'll make it. Do you want one?" She'd sit on the kitchen counter and eat lunch when she was alone. She preferred a round dining table that sat a maximum of 10 people because she wanted to actually have conversations with her guests, not perform for them. McGrady cooked for Diana 5 days a week. On weekends, he'd leave prepared food in the refrigerator with detailed sticky notes explaining exactly how many minutes each dish should go in the microwave. Diana, by all accounts, was hopeless in the kitchen. McGrady laughed about it later, calling her just the worst, a terrible person in the kitchen. But she didn't pretend otherwise. She knew her strengths, and cooking wasn't one of them. This informality shocked people who knew how the rest of the royal family operated. But it was pure Diana, a woman who never quite fit the mold she'd been placed in. When William and Harry came to stay, everything changed. Diana wanted her sons to eat like normal boys. That meant pizza, loaded potato skins with cheese and bacon, fried chicken, whatever they wanted. McGrady served them food with all the richness and indulgence that Diana denied herself. The kind of food that dripped and satisfied and made childhood feel like childhood. Diana ate different versions of the same meals, watching her sons enjoy the foods she wouldn't touch. It was a sacrifice she made willingly. She understood that her complicated relationship with food shouldn't become theirs. There was one exception to her discipline: bread and butter pudding. McGrady's version was somewhere between traditional bread pudding and crème brûlée. Soft white bread, crusts removed, layered with rich egg custard. Golden raisins that had been soaked overnight in amaretto until they were plump and boozy. Toasted almonds scattered on top, a dusting of powdered sugar. He'd caramelized the surface with a torch so it crackled when you broke through it with a spoon. Diana loved it so much that she once told a royal reporter it was the best bread and butter pudding in the world. She would sneak into the kitchen while McGrady prepared it and pick off the raisins while they chatted. But she only allowed herself this indulgence when her sons were visiting, and even then, she'd take only a small portion. The dessert was originally called poor man's pudding, a humble dish born from the need to use stale bread. It seems fitting that this unpretentious sweet was the favorite of the people's princess. Diana's snacking habits were just as particular as her main meals. Her favorite tea was rose pouchong, a delicate Chinese black tea scented with rose petals. Light and fragrant, with a floral sweetness that lingered. Nothing like the strong builder's tea most people associate with Britain. When it came to fruit, Diana had an unexpected obsession: lychee. The small, sweet fruit from southern China, white and almost translucent inside, juicy and floral, wasn't common in England at the time. But Diana loved it so much she would eat entire bowls of it in one sitting. McGrady made sure to keep it stocked for her. And despite her strict approach to eating, Diana did allow herself the occasional chocolate. Her weakness was the Cadbury Twirl, a simple milk chocolate bar with delicate, flaky layers inside that crumbled when you bit into it. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive, just a regular chocolate bar you could buy at any corner shop. These small indulgences revealed something important about Diana. She wasn't obsessive or joyless about food. She had structure, yes. She was disciplined, yes. But she also knew how to enjoy the little pleasures. A good cup of tea, a bowl of her favorite fruit, a chocolate bar when she wanted one. Diana's careful approach to eating wasn't just about health or vanity. It had roots in something much more painful. In her own words, recorded for Andrew Morton's biography and later confirmed in her 1995 Panorama interview, Diana spoke openly about her struggle with bulimia. She described it as starting the week after her engagement, triggered in part by a comment about her figure and the mounting pressure of her new life. She called it a secret disease, something she hid for years while the world saw only the glamorous princess. She spoke about using food as a way to cope with emotional pain, about the cycle of the illness, about the shame that kept her silent. By the time McGrady became her personal chef in 1993, Diana had done the hard work of recovery. She had, in her chef's words, gotten her life back on track and conquered the bulimia. The woman he cooked for was focused on eating well, exercising regularly, and taking care of herself. The careful meal planning, the fat-free preparations, the gym sessions, these weren't about restriction. They were about rebuilding a healthy relationship with food after years of struggle. Diana's openness about her experience helped countless others recognize and seek help for their own battles. There were certain foods Diana simply wouldn't touch. She never ate pork. Full stop. Beef was off the menu entirely unless William and Harry were home. Garlic was avoided following general royal protocol about foods that cause bad breath during constant public interactions. And she stayed away from heavy creams and butter, asking McGrady to find lighter alternatives for traditional British dishes. But Diana also had a mischievous side when it came to food. Once, while having lunch with Oprah Winfrey, Diana served her guest McGrady's rich tomato mousse, full of mayonnaise, sour cream, and all the good stuff. Creamy, indulgent, the kind of dish that tastes like you shouldn't be eating it. Diana ate the same dish, or so it appeared. When Oprah put down her spoon and asked how Diana stayed so slim eating such rich food, the princess smiled and said she just ate small portions and worked out. What Oprah didn't know was that Diana's mousse was a completely fat-free version. Same appearance, completely different recipe. Diana enjoyed these small private jokes, these moments of being clever, while everyone assumed she was just naturally blessed. What Diana ate tells us something important about who she really was. Not the glamorous princess in designer gowns, though she was certainly that. Not the tragic figure the tabloids loved to construct, though tragedy touched her life deeply. But the woman who chose overnight oats and stuffed peppers, who wanted her sons to have pizza and ice cream, who battled demons that no one could see and came out the other side with discipline and self-awareness. Diana's approach to food reflected her larger approach to life. A rejection of stuffy tradition in favor of warmth and authenticity, a complicated journey toward health and happiness, and small rebellions against a system that never quite fit her. Which of these details surprised you most? Let us know in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and if you enjoyed this video, YouTube thinks you'll like this one as well.